Good morning, true crime friends. How you doing? We got a verdict in the Daybell trial. Yay! I'm so excited. Look, we got delivered from this heifer. We are free. Hopefully we never have to see her face again. I'm so excited. We need to talk about everything that happened yesterday. But first, you know what you need to do. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and keep sharing these ridiculous videos. We got to 20,000 subscribers together. Hooray! There is going to be a 20,000 subscriber live stream celebration. Look on the live stream tab and it'll give you all the details for that. But look, we need to talk about Miss Lori. So this is what happened. The day before, the jury heard like closing statements and everything. And oh my goodness, hang on. That little amphibian is trying to come back to my throat. Okay. So, Miss Trina K got up there and gave a fiery, passionate closing argument. And Lori was like, well, I think, and then Trina K was like, objection. And the judge said, sustained. And then Lori, like, you know, she blathered on about some stuff and she's a nice person and she loves everybody. Okay, girl, don't love me because clearly the people you love, it don't turn out that good for them. So, and then Miss Trina K got up there. She gave a fiery rebuttal. And I was like, they are going to convict her in 5 minutes. And the jury went in the back room and was like, okay, it's time for us to go home. And I was like, wait, no. I had planned on a verdict. And they're like, hey, bailiff, hey, we're going to go home for the night. We got stuff to do. But we'll be back in the morning bright and early. So I was like, okay. So everybody got back bright and early. And I was like, okay, settle in, get comfortable. I wonder how, they have a verdict already. Y'all, before they had even warmed up the seats that they were sitting in, they must have voted her on the first round. Like, okay, who think guilty? Okay, fine, good. Let's finish up these donuts and done and done. 20-minute deliberation. And then they were just like, boom, that's it. So I was like, oh my gosh. Now, did I know that a 20-minute deliberation meant she was going to be guilty? Yeah. Also, I've watched all of these trials and I've seen all the evidence and stuff. So there was never a question in my mind that Miss LVD was going to get convicted. But I was like, ooh, maybe they looked at all her crazy and were like, makes sense to me. They did not. Don't you worry about it. So they bring the jury back in and everybody gathers back in and everyone's nervous. Colby, Lori's son, is driving furiously to the courthouse so he could be there for his cousin, nephew, I don't know, his family member, Brandon. He doesn't quite make it, but that's okay. He was being real hard on himself yesterday. Colby, we understand you've been through a lot, sir. We know you support Brandon, right? So Lori just sashays in. She's all calm, like, oh, hey, how you doing? Okay, Miss America, sit yourself down there. Miss America of the electric chair is where she needs to be, but they don't have that down there in Southern Idaho, right? So she comes in and she sits down. Judge Boreski, the sainted Judge Justin Boreski, who has put up with more nonsense than a little bit from this crazy behind lady, was like, okay, jury, are you ready? This is probably the most relaxing day he's had in court in a long time. So the jury comes in and he gets the paperwork. Now, here's the thing. In some jurisdictions, they walk in and they hold the paper. Heifer did it. Heifer didn't do it, whatever it is. They, of the great state of Southern Idaho, Arizona district, were like, me. Okay, we of the great state of Arizona, land of pointy cactuses, crazy cult moms, and hot sun, do on this day, having been duly impaneled. I was like, get to the, I need the punchline. They were like, we find her guilty. And I was like, yay, in my head. But I was like, okay, she remained calm. I will remain calm. You know, Brandon and all the other victims like wept softly, like, oh my God, we finally got justice. The heifer's going away forever, ever. And so then the judge is like, okay, I believe when the judge does something on his own, it's called sua sponte. I know things. Is that Latin? I wonder what that means. Anyway. So the judge was like, of the court's own accord, I would like to poll the jury because in case this crazy heifer wants to do an appeal or something, I want to make sure we have dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's. And I was like, good thinking, judge, good thinking. So the judge is like, okay, juror number 1, juror number 2. He goes right down the row and all the jurors was like, chow, you know, or something like that. Anyway, the whole jury agreed. They're like, she definitely did this. Did you notice we did it in 20 minutes? Because, yeah, she did this. As an unrelated aside, there's an episode of Dateline where one of the jurors was like, wait, I didn't no, that's not my verdict. I don't agree. And then they had to go back. It happens sometimes. So it's good that they polled the jury, right? So the judge is like, okay, jury, can y'all go sit in the back and finish up the crumbs from the muffins and stuff? I need to talk to this now convicted criminal and the state and that. So the judge very calmly, very coolly was like, okay, so we need to discuss an aggravation phase. And Lori was like, must I? And he was like, you know my bonking hand is strong, right? I still got this gavel and I can still bonk you on the head. Your act right is starting to slip loose again, heifer. And so she was like, I'll stipulate, which means the state doesn't have to put on like a second little mini trial to prove the aggravating factors. Now look, if aggravating factors are found, he could give her like a harsher sentence. But here's the thing. In Arizona, the sentence is automatic. It's 25 years to life. She has 25 years to life on this conviction, 25 years to life on the previous conviction, and life, like forever, ever, for the triple homicide of her children and her fifth husband's first wife up in northern Idaho, district. So she gonna be in prison forever. And so she was like, I don't want to do this. Can I waive all of this? And the judge is like, okay, still dotting I's and crossing T's. This is what I need to confirm. You are stipulating that this was a dangerous offense. And she was like, I mean, I don't know why we have to do this anyway, but yes. And he was like, and you were also stipulating that you had an accomplice. And she was like, sure. Here's the thing about this. Now, had Lori thought maybe she's like, okay, yeah. If you say I did this, it was a dangerous offense. If she loved Melanie Boudreaux Pulowski, her niece, Brandon's wife, if she really loved Melanie and wanted to protect Melanie, she would fight on the accomplice charge. Because here's the thing. Yeah, Alex was her accomplice, but he's off at the endless hell buffet, where he can no longer be charged. Chad was clearly an accomplice, in my opinion. I think the state has already said they can't prove that. But if she stipulates that Melanie was an accomplice, that just gives them a little bit more ammunition to go after the niece, Melanie, Brandon's ex-wife. So, Miss Lori, you went on and on about how you loved Mel and you would never throw her under the bus. But by stipulating, didn't you like scooch her a little bit that way? Maybe not all the way under the bus. They already investigating your niece. We are waiting with bated breath. Let me tell you, we, the people of the internet and gossips everywhere, child, we are waiting. We are waiting for Miss Melanie to get arrested so we can cheer. And so she was just like, I wait. And the judge is like, I do find that this was voluntarily and intelligently waived. Intelligently? Judge, I feel like that was poorly worded, but I get what you're saying. And then he was like, okay, so we need to prepare a pre-sentencing report. And she was like, must we? Do we need to? Because I really don't want to. I'll waive it. And he was like, yeah, no, you're getting a pre-sentencing report. And so then he set the sentencing date for July 25th, 2025. Lori was like, okay, how soon can I get out of here? I would like to get out of here. I would like to go. And he was just like, okay, here's the thing though, I'm not in charge of that. And so the prosecutor was like, oh, I can talk to the extradition office. She's like, can you sentence me in less than 30 days? That July 25th, that's more than 30 days away. I would like to be sentenced as fast as humanly possible. There's two reasons for that. Number one, once at the sentencing phase, Lori, I believe, is required to show up. That means she has to sit there and listen to people talk bad about her and she don't get to say nothing. Ooh, that is not something she enjoys. That's her least favorite part of this whole trial. That's why she waived it the last time. She didn't want to have to sit there while people were like, Lorivallow, you are garbage. Your breath stank. You look like a shih tzu with your hair in a ponytail on the top like that. Also, you did terrible criminal things. She does not want to have to sit and stew in her own juices. Now, is she stewing in them in prison? Yes, but she can be in her crazy fantasy world of it was not me and Jesus is coming and me and Jesus gonna be in charge. See, also, Jesus don't know you, heifer. What are you talking about? So I don't know if she's going to show up for it. I believe she's required to, but maybe she'll be like, I'm sick again. I have a terrible, terrible virus and I'm afraid of the judge. Okay, girl. Here's the other reason she wants to get back to northern Idaho district. Number 1, Chad is on unalive row in Idaho. Number 2, according to Miss Lori, there's a portal through which she and Chad communicate. I think that portal is just in her mind. I mean, maybe it's like in a cell or something like that. She cray cray. Also, from what I hear, they treat up in Idaho, they treat the prisoners quite well. In Arizona, we see you. We saw how you've treated prisoners in the past. That, what was his name? Joe Arpaio was like, we just gonna put up some tents out here and keep all the maybe convicted, the got convicted, the people being held because they had a speeding ticket. We gonna put them out here in the hot sun with no air conditioning in white tents. I get the feeling that the accommodations are not that luxe down there in southern Idaho. She been trying to get out of there from the time that she got there. Ma'am, you know how you could have got out of there? Just gone ahead and confessed. Went and said, yeah, I did this. I'm real sorry. I want everybody to have healing. Can I please stay up here in northern Idaho? No, you cannot. You the one who wanted to come down here. You the one who wanted to have these trials. Ma'am, then you just gonna have to sleep in the bed that you made for yourself, because now here you are. Now, I hear she's a hot weather girl. Maybe being up there in northern Idaho, she's gotten used to the cold. And reportedly, they call the prisoners clients. Okay. She says the people are nicer and the view is good. The view from the Gray Bar Hotel? You know what view I don't want? Any view that's from prison. Now, yeah, they say there's mountains up there and there's mountains in the background. So you can look out your prison bars and be like, oh, look, I can see mountains. We're here in Arizona. All I see is pokey cactuses and more criminals. I can understand why she wants to go back up north. But ma'am, you just gonna have to sit there until they get good and doggone ready to drive you back up north. She's only been down south for like a year and a half, which a year and a half in Arizona. No shade to our Arizona gossips, but it's hot. It's hot. I can't do hot. I'm already having a personal Arizona. I certainly do not need to travel to a state that is clearly on fire at all times, or at least it feels like it. So anyway, after all the proceedings in court, Lori got up. Now look, she was talking all week about how she was sick, but she had time to curl her hair. Her hair looked good yesterday. She wasn't wearing the Shih Tzu ponytail or anything. I was like, okay, we can only see the back of her head, but the curls was looking nice. I was like, okay, homicidal maniac, your curls are looking nice. It's too bad that all this pretty hair is going to prison. We've had so much pretty hair go to prison lately. But look, if that pretty hair is on the head of a crazy homicidal maniac, child, let that hair stay in prison. Go. So after everything was over, everybody left the courtroom. The court has gotten smarter. Last time, they were just like, okay, everybody can leave at the same time. The general public, the jurors, whatever. That's when we ran into that problem with Uncle doing too much. Y'all remember Uncle doing too much. The juror who was just like, oh, I don't want to talk to the media. Oh, is that a camera? Hi, me, testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? I would like to open my mouth and say a whole bunch of things that might cause a mistrial. Hi, I didn't know Lori, but I know she's on death row and this is terrible and I feel bad and she did it and I knew all the information, but I didn't, but now I do, whatever. Child, Uncle doing too much. Juror in the blue shirt, Tom, I think his name was. He caused a whole ruckus. So, the court was like, no, this is how we're going to do this time. The jury, just like last time, said they didn't want to speak to the media. But what we're going to do different this time is they held everybody in the gallery. They were like, okay, can you please take out the homicidal maniac? Thank you so much. Lock that heifer in the cage. Give her an extra zap on her rack belt for me. And then they were like, everybody keep sitting here. We're going to let the jury go. So they let the jury go. Once the jury was on their buses and gone, then they were like, okay, media, now y'all can go. So by the time the media and all the regular people got outside, the jurors were in their cars tuning in the radio and trying to find a podcast that tells the rest of the story of this mad case. And so all the media was like, dang, including me. I was like, y'all got any loose lip jurors who want to get out here and talk? Now, I saw last night before I fell asleep that one of the jurors was over there on the Hidden True Crime podcast. Hey, Lauren and Dr. Matthias, how y'all doing? One of the jurors was interviewed over there. I haven't seen that interview yet, but I suspect it's just going to be like all the other ones. I don't follow true crime. I didn't know anything about this. That heifer was crazy. How come she ain't put on a defense? Glad she's in prison. The end. rinse and repeat. It's kind of been the same over and over and over. But then the families, the victims, everybody came outside, and I was like, Brandon Boudreaux, he seems so nice and sweet and gentle. And he came out and he was just like, I just want everybody to know, all of us standing here. Now, keep in mind, all of these people are related through Lori. Lori's in-laws, Lori's son, or one side of the family. Brandon Boudreaux had married into that family. And then that family, a member of that family, tried to unfortunately unalive him. And he was just like, he just seems so sweet and lovely. He was like, I just want you to know we're all still family. Yes, the homicidal maniac is the one who connected us, but our hearts are now connecting us. That's not what he said, but that's the spirit of what he said. And then Kay, oh, the glorious Kay Woodcock, Queen Kay Woodcock, got up. She had a little something to say. She quoted her brother, the great philosopher, Jerry Charles. And she's like, this is for my brother, Jerry. We got to be again. And I was like, yay, the way we love Kay Woodcock on this channel. Anyway, Brandon got up and then he spoke eloquently. He's soft-spoken. He just seems like a kind, calm person. And he's like, people keep asking me, why have this trial? She's already doing life up in northern Idaho. And he was like, I speak for the other victims. I speak for Tammy. I speak for Tylee. I speak for JJ. All the people who didn't get a chance to speak, he is the only surviving witness, the only surviving victim of this homicidal maniac. I mean, Colby also survived, but he had not directly tried to unfortunately unalive Colby yet. So he's like, I speak because I can. That half in there, I mean, this is not what he said, but this is the spirit of what he said. That half says she loves everybody. I actually do. I just want to go back to my anonymity, living a nice life or whatever. But first, I would like to quote some scripture. And so he said, again, not a direct quote, but the spirit of, some of y'all gonna be like, well, Jesus is my BFF. And when Jesus see you, he gonna be like, get away from me, ho. In biblical language, though, you know, he said it like in biblical words. He might have quoted a scripture, like the book, chapter, and verse or whatever. I ain't write that part down. And then he like quoted some poems and stuff. And I was like, I love him so much. I want him to be able to go back to his peaceful private life with his very pretty wife who looks smart. That Melanese, honey. The lights were not on and nobody was home with his former wife. But this current wife, she seems just like lovely and charming. Oh, please let her be. She seems like a nice funeral potato mama. Oh, she running the Relief Society. She down there teaching the kids songs in primary. I love her so much, even though I don't really know her. And then somebody from the crowd was like, do you forgive? And he was like, so listen, I'm not Jesus. I'm doing my level best. You know, it's a process. That's what he said. Let somebody had asked me that question. You fired a bullet at me. Do you forgive her? No. No, I forgive myself for marrying her empty-headed niece. But her personally, no. He was like, I'm going to let the Savior take my pain and fill me with love. That's so nice. I like that a real lot. He seems like a good egg, and we are happy for him. So look, hopefully that is the end. The last time we ever have to talk about this trollop, Miss LVD. I can't even bring myself to say her name. But wait, there might be more. That Melanese, they are still investigating Melanie Boudreaux Pulowski. She of the conspiracy to commit unfortunate unaliving, the new husband who, from what I hear, is not on first name basis with keeping a job. So how's she gonna get a lawyer if she don't have Brandon's money to support her? Am I saying the quiet part out loud? I just, So we're going to light a candle and say a prayer to all the saints and angels. Now, listen, do I have a Tina Turner prayer candle? Yes. Yes, I do. Jesus is busy. We at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo are not sacrilegious. We are not using the Lord's name in vain. So we call on our other saints and angels. And when something big happens, shout, we need Tina. We need Tina. So look, we all are going to keep a good thought and say a prayer to Sister Tina that that Melanese gets arrested sooner rather than later. And when she does, oh, you know I'm gonna be here to talk about it, honey. The words and the thoughts that I have for that heifer. In the meantime, I'll see you next crime. Bye.